Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your patience with last week's technical difficulties, and we appreciate you taking the time. We want to start off with introductions. My name is Jill Connor. I'm the president. I have two kids at the school, a fourth grader and a first grader.
There you can see my daughter Doris in fifth grade. I'm one of the vice presidents.
I'm Brooke Kenny. I have a third grader this year and incoming kindergartner.
Hi everyone, this is March Clark. I am vice president on the PTA, and I have two sons here at Greenbelt, a fifth grader and a first grader.
Good evening, everyone. Sarah West. I'm the PTA treasurer, and I have a fourth grader.
And if people on the Zoom would like to introduce themselves, if anybody would like to unmute and say hello.
Hi, I'm Jessica O'Rourke. I have two kids. One of them is at Greenbelt. They're a third grader, Marin.
Good evening. I am Joel Nelson, principal of Greenbelt, and it's a pleasure to have those of you who are new online, and certainly PTA and all returning parents.
Good evening. My name is Francis Moloku. I'm Selina's dad, Selina Moloku's dad. She's in a first grade.
We're so happy to see you here.
Thank you. Same here.
Good evening, this is Miss Giddings. I am the reading instructional lead teacher and school testing coordinator.
Hi everyone, I'm Carrie Panuco. I have two daughters in third grade, Anna and Claire Gottschalk. Nice to be with you all.
Hi, I'm Carita Waters in a loud house, but I have a fifth grader, Maeve, and have an older child who's at Roosevelt.
Would anybody else like to go? Okay, well.
Hi, okay, I'll go. I'm Miss Apple Hawa. I'm a fourth grade teacher. Hi, everybody.
Okay, anybody else like to go?
Susie Humber.
Not gonna make her like that. Maybe it's her. Okay, thank you so much. So I just wanted to point out to everybody that if you'd like to send us a message, you can always do it through our website, which is listed on the agenda. Should we do the minutes first? I think we have time to. So let's vote on the meeting minutes. If you are a current PTA member only, please. I think we're small enough that you could just do like a thumbs up with Zoom or turn on your camera and put a thumbs up. So if we can take a look at the minutes, and is that showing up?
Yes.
Good.
Can you give a quick summary of them, or just...
That would be great.
So if anybody wanted to, is there a chance to review the minutes in detail? They're posted on our website. And as usual, I'll just do a quick summary of what happened at the last meeting. And when I'm done with that, I'll ask if anybody has any corrections or additions to me. And if not, then we'll vote on accepting the minutes. Okay. So the last meeting, well, the first thing we did was approve the minutes from the previous meeting. And then Principal Nelson presented the principal's report. And he spoke about several events that were upcoming at the time. And he also fielded a question about the STEM fair and whether it was required. Jessica O'Rourke thanked the school for the attention it gives to social and emotional learning. And then next I presented the treasurer's report, the income and expenses that the PTA has had since the previous meeting. And after that, I introduced a proposal to allow our PTA to have a PTA credit card or debit card. And there's some discussion about which of the two would be better. for us to use, and then we voted on the proposal, and the proposal passed. And next, I introduced the new advocacy committee and encouraged anybody to volunteer for it who would like to. And then the other vice president, Kristen, presented on the entrepreneurship fair that's coming up. And I encouraged anybody who would like to volunteer for that to do so, and also encourage people to reach out if they're interested in being on the board nominations committee. And then we had a short Q&A period covering topics like what the volunteers for the entrepreneurship fair need, or what will they do? Would there be end of the year celebrations for kindergarten and fifth grade? And also a question about the list of all the committees that are on the PTA that people might want to volunteer for. And then Jill gave the president's report and spoke a little more about the spring fair, and also talked about the teacher request board, where teachers can place requests for the PTA to make purchases for them to use in their classrooms. And she introduced the restaurant night that's coming up next week at Franklin's. And then we had another discussion period, and the topics there that we touched on. One was asking if we could have a designated Q&A time for each meeting. And another one was talking about the wait times and the cafeteria lunch line for students. And another question was whether it's possible to have a list of the school clubs placed on the school's website, so it's easier for parents to find out about them. And another question was whether it was possible to restart the Greenbelt Rec after school art classes that used to be held before the pandemic here at Greenbelt Elementary. And then there's a little bit of discussion of an upcoming event where the fifth graders from Greenbelt Elementary can talk to sixth graders from Greenbelt Middle School, find out what middle school is like. You'll hear more about that later. And then there's also a little discussion about the PTA's membership numbers. And so if anybody has anything they want to correct or add to those minutes, please just go ahead and speak up. I'll give it about 10 seconds or so. And then we'll ask for a motion to accept the approved minutes. Okay, and so I motion that we accept the minutes, and we'll need somebody to second the motion.
Second, just go seconds.
Let's go seconds, okay? Your vote.
Eyes. Raise a hand for me.
4, 5, 6,
Mary, there's 8.
7.
Okay.
Great.
Nays? Okay, anyone abstaining? Okay.
Thanks, Jill.
Great. Thank you.
Excuse me, are you taking attendance of the people on Zoom?
No, I was simply counting up the votes for approval of the minutes, which is just a summary of our last meeting.
Okay, because I wasn't at the last meeting.
Great, thank you. Did anybody who came a little bit late want to introduce themselves? Either online or in person?
Someone will say this way. This may be professional. Oh,
Okay. Okay, well, thank you for joining anyways. So we wanted to jump ahead a little bit and have somebody from our nomination committee speak. Jessica O'Rourke is here to speak about the committee and how you could become a part of this board.
Hello again. Some of my family just came home, so the volume might be a little louder in here, but again, I'm Jessica O'Rourke, and Carita Waters and I, she's also here tonight. We both actually have to leave a little early, so thanks for letting us kind of sneak in here, Jill. We mentioned it at the last meeting and wanted to reach out again to ask each of you and invite you all to consider becoming involved in the PTA as a board member for next school year. The terms are only 1 year, So if it's ever something or something now that you've kind of floated and think, oh, maybe I could do that. We want to encourage you to consider it more and reach out to us. Even if you're not committing, if you just want to hear more and understand what you would be committing to. The board has 5 members, a president, 2 vice presidents, secretary, and treasurer. Some of those people that are serving this year are moving on, either their child is leaving the school or they've shared their time and they need to rest. And some people are staying on. So the next year's board will be a mix of people with the experience and some of the kind of knowledge of the inner workings. And then we'd like some new fresh input and people to serve. So Carita, do you want to add anything else?
Thanks. With folks talking here too. So just want to mention that Jessica and I are in particular looking for some parents with younger children, some of the younger grades. We really are grateful for the folks who have stepped up before and are moving on to middle school, and we'd like to be able to have some continuity over the years. So even if you feel like you've got a kindergarten, first grade, second grader, and you're just learning things, I think is an excellent way to build some relationships within the school and step forward. And then I will put my cell phone number into the chat, and folks can text me, and then we can follow up by email or a conversation. And I can link in, Jessica put hers in there as well. So really happy to have you all reach out and ask some questions. If you have ideas of other folks to nominate, let us know. That's all, Jessica. And I think we just invite or open it for any questions that folks might have.
Yeah, if anyone's mulling over a question, I just want to add one more thing that I think is important to mention, that there are some things that the PTA does that have sort of become traditions and are on our calendar, but that doesn't mean it always has to look that way or have those exact things every year. So it is what we make it. So any questions?
As people formulate their questions, I did put in the chat a link to the position information, and we'll share this with the general membership, the full membership, but it outlines the roles for each of the positions and the responsibilities that are there. And as Jessica said, you make of it what you want to. And I just want to commend the many wonderful committees and committee staff that we have who really support the board. And some of the board members step up to be liaisons to that, but there are a number of ways to get involved. So happy to chat more. Thanks.
Great. Well, thank you so much for volunteering your time to make sure that our board is filled for next year. Of course, board members who are still here are happy to support anybody coming through. It takes a community. And speaking of which, we are ready to move over to the principal's report. Mr. Nelson.
Good evening, everyone. I definitely want to thank all PTA. The comments of Mrs. Waters and Mrs. O'Rourke. I just want to reiterate that it'd be very nice to continue the continuity, and those parents who are kindergarten, first and second graders. So I just want to reiterate that. And as Mrs. Connor had mentioned, the reality is it does take a village, and certainly we all the students and certainly the staff really depends on the PTA, and we thank you for everything that you do. All right, I have a couple of things that I want to share. There were a minute shared by Mr. McKenzie, and I just wanted to comment on a couple of those things when we look at the report for right now. Our field trips that we had talked about last month, thankfully, they've all gone through. We've certainly had the trips to the Greenbelt Theater. We have additional ones coming up. We've gone to Clark's Farm. We've actually gone to Camp Schmidt, and thanks to our chaperones and the staff who prepared that, and certainly Ms. Waters who attended, so that was a wonderful time for our fifth graders, our kindergartners, and all through first, second, third, and fourth grade. We hope to have additional trips, some this year, and again, full-fledged next year. In addition to that, I want to share that there was information regarding Mr. McKenzie's minutes regarding end of the year celebrations. Right now, our full focus is on MCAP. Our MCAP, our state assessments, are occurring for third, fourth, and fifth graders. That began yesterday. But as it relates to end of year celebrations, our kindergarten and fifth grade in particular will be planning that. And so, in May, early mid part of May, families should receive information in terms of what to expect and anticipate. There was also a mention regarding the cafeteria. We as a school community perform so well, not only with the number of staff and the quality of people, but with volunteers. And I just want to share this as a sidebar. Today, after 4 o'clock, I sent out an email to all volunteers, chaperones. And it was just simply saying, hey, now's the time of the year that we have a need for support between certain hours, non-instructional hours. And there's already 8 or 9 people who have responded. So again, I thank many of you online right now, and certainly to those of us who are a part of this PTA meeting. Parents and this community is awesome. So again, thank you for that. All right, the main crux of what I wanted to share tonight, and Ms. Giddings did introduce herself. She is the testing coordinator for Greenbelt Elementary School. We have a presentation. It is pre-recorded. Jill, I had sent it to you, but if you are not able to access it, I believe that Ms. Giddings will be able to actually present it. It does take roughly 12, 13 minutes, but what this Maryland report card presentation is, it puts into, I'd like to say, a specific Greenbelt Elementary School focus in terms of how we performed on our last MCAP, as well as it answers maybe 5 or 6 questions that may have been brought up over the last couple of weeks since the Maryland report card actually came out and was made available to the public. So I'm going to, I guess, first defer to you, Mrs. Connor. And if you're not able to pull it up, then perhaps Ms. Giddings could have some access rights. We could view this, and then certainly we can fill in and elaborate in any areas, because there were some really good questions. And I think this presentation will answer just about all of them, and anything that needs to be added can certainly be done so at the end. Do we have that time, Ms. Connor?
I think we do have that time. I think we're all very interested in the report. Ms. Giddings, I did make you a co-host, so you should be able to share. Let me know if you need me to pull that up for you, though I do have it as well.
I have the slides pulled up, but I don't have the actual video pulled up. So if you're able to share the video.
I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you both. While this is being executed, I just want to share with all parties at this time that the presentation will speak not only to the questions in Maryland report card, but it is with an understanding that the great majority of individuals online right now are doing and ensuring that their children are coming to school, first and foremost, so that our staff can do the job that they're commissioned to do. So again, we'll look at this presentation, and then any questions that remain, again, we'll elaborate.
I think I have it coming up. There we go. Okay, are you at home able to see that?
We still see the agenda.
Okay, yep, that's what I thought. I just need to switch it. Hold on one sec.
Greetings, Greenbelt family. I trust each and all are well. Hope
Are you able to hear that at home? Fine.
Yes.
Hopefully you have begun April in great fashion, a lot of sun, a little bit of rain. At any rate, I wanted to share some information regarding the Maryland report card. Within the last 10 to 14 days, all schools and families should have received information regarding the Maryland report card returning to schools. As it relates to this, please note this is a pre-recorded conversation, presentation. You will have an opportunity to look back over it. Please note that there may be some stoppages, just so that Vice Principal Ms. Stagg and our testing coordinator, Ms. Giddings, may provide additional information and elaborate. Please note once again that this is pre-recorded, and hopefully all the information in it will be utilized to the best of our understanding. So in just a moment, I'm going to share this information, and we will begin shortly. All right. So in terms of understanding the Maryland School Report Card, just a couple of things in terms of the history. ESEA, which was the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, began 50 years ago. In 2015, the Every Student Succeeds Act, which is ESSA, reauthorized what schools should do. ESSA requires states to hold schools accountable for student outcomes. In response, the state of Maryland and Maryland Public School Accountability System chose to look at school performance data in multiple component areas. There are 4 areas that we will discuss in just a moment. Using this data, a school report card for every public school that shows the points earned was created. The final score is used to rank the school using a 5-star system. Again, we'll go over this in just a moment. The report card results began in 2017-18 year, and they were followed up in the 2018-19 year prior to the pandemic. This report for Greenbelt is on last year, the first full year after return to the pandemic. Of the 4 components of the Maryland report card, one is academic achievement, academic progress, progress in achieving English language proficiency, followed by school quality and student success. The definitions are aligned there as it relates to the 4 components. This is an example of an elementary school report card. If you look to the left, under 1, you have 1A, B, C, and D, and those are the 4 components. Academic achievement, academic progress, progress in achieving English language proficiency, followed by school quality and student success. Normal School, Greenbelt, from last year's 2021-2022, we were ranked 4 out of 5 stars, which is commensurate with the prior years of our report card. Once again, we're a 4-star school. Again, if you look to the left, below indicators, you will see the 4 components, beginning with academic achievement and ending with school quality and student success. Possible points owned as I move to the center, earned points, annual target, and improvement. If you note the 2 green check marks, we met success were for the areas of academic progress, as well as progress in achieving English language proficiency. Areas not met were for academic achievement and in school quality and student success. The 5-star rating system begins with the 5 stars awarded to those who've earned 75% or greater of the points. 4-star, where we are, 60% or greater, but less than 75%, followed by 59 to 45% for 3-star, down to less than 30% for a 1-star building. So a couple of things that you need to know. Greenbelt Elementary School again received a 4-star rating. The school report card shares information on school performance in specific areas, but please note this is only a snapshot of school quality, and that there are many factors that influence school quality that are not shown on the school report card. Thus, the school report card should not be used as the definitive measure for teaching and learning. It is important, but there are other factors as well. So thankfully to our executive PTA board and parents like yourself, we were able to receive, we meaning myself, Ms. Stagg, Ms. Giddens were able to receive some questions that parents and that our community wanted to know regarding the report card, and specifically what we are doing at Greenbelt. So we've targeted some of these questions to respond to. As a reminder, there may be some stoppages just in order for people to elaborate. All right, so the first question, I was asked, can I talk a little bit about proficiency, how it's defined for this test, and what the practical significance is for students who score below proficiency level? And then most importantly, what is the school's plan to directly address these deficiencies? Wonderful question. All right, so in a moment, either now or a little bit later, Ms. Giddens may end up reading the proficiency definition. But as she does so, either prior or before, you're going to hear what I'm going to share about that. We somewhat anticipated across the board, but certainly at Greenbelt, that student scores and proficiency would be lower. There's lower time on task, instruction was greatly reduced due to the global closure. So we knew that there'd be some type of lowering as it related proficiency. So as a result, there were changes in the curriculum that would occur. We wanted to address these lapses in proficiency, most notably foundational skills in intermediate grades. Foundational skills have always been important, particularly for primary age children. However, intermediate grades, we found that this was very important on a state level, let alone a county level. And there are changes in the curriculum to address that. Our plan as a school is to ensure that the curriculum changes are implemented with fidelity. We do this through learning walks and observations, visiting classrooms. We have weekly data-driven collaborative planning sessions that take place with teachers, department leads, and service providers. And we provide much more exposure to MCAT-style tasks through resources such as Edulastic, iReady standards, mastery reports, and these mirror what students will see on MCAT. Another question, what do you and staff believe are the barriers to improving math and language arts comprehension? Certainly the gaps in foundational skills. They make it a challenge. These gaps, again, make it a huge challenge to independently read and comprehend high-level texts or cross-context areas. This leads to curriculum revisions, as I briefly shared before. Additional time to small group instruction is one barrier that we aim to improve. And certainly we have met some type of success with benchmark scoring by creating opportunities for foundational skills such as Wow Wednesday, Benchmark Advanced Phonics, Pause Thursdays. And just as a note, we consistently score well within our cluster ratings on benchmark assessments, which is a clear sign that we're implementing effective strategies. All right, the rate of students not chronically absent fell from 86.5% in 2018 and 19 to 71.6% in 21-22. What is known about this problem? Well, quite frankly, a lot is known about this problem. We just have a number of students, staff who are absent during the pandemic. And upon our return, we just didn't come in for teaching and learning because we were sick or we were taking care of somebody sick or because of fear, quite honestly. So chronically absent students are students who miss at least 10% of the school quarter, a semester, or a school year. So for example, in a 40-day quarter, a student who has missed 4 days is considered chronically absent. In a school year, a student who misses 18 days is considered chronically absent. Let that sink in for a moment. So an excused absence, what happens if you're excused? Excused is a lawful absence. If you're ill, there's a death in the family, hopefully not. There are lawful reasons why our children are absent. Please understand that both excused and unexcused absences are computed into the chronically absent scenario, and that's per the state. We've implemented preemptive approaches to identify and address chronically absent students by identifying those who are chronically absent from a previous year. We send out letters of correspondences. Attendance meetings consistently occur. And we've created an in-school incentive program for sustaining attendance on a monthly basis, and that looks at classes opposed to simply individuals. Okay, for this question, this was a very good question. The county offers free live one-on-one tutoring for any student who requests it. Do you, meaning Greenbelt, know how many GS students are taking advantage of this offering? Do teachers recommend tutoring for specific students, or is this something that the school expects parents to initiate? If a student is receiving all A's and B's but getting low standardized test scores, do teachers speak to parents about taking advantage of free tutoring? All very good questions that we attempt to answer in a short answer, and we can elaborate as necessary. There are various tutoring programs provided by various organizations outside of Greenbelt Elementary School. We'll share those in just a moment. We're not provided with current data reflecting the number of our students taking advantage of provided offerings. And again, I'll show you some of these tutoring programs. This is a hyperlink. Standardized assessments is only one, I repeat. Standardized assessments is only one component of a student's overall academic performance. It is an important one, but it's only one. Tutoring recommendations can be a collective conversation between both teacher and parent. And in some cases, parents choose to enroll their child in tutoring to ensure they stay abreast of grade level expectations, while others may collaborate with classroom teachers to decide additional services are needed. So in terms of the types of programs, Tutor Me is a program. It focuses on various students, various needs. It's an online tutoring platform. Math tutoring, reading and English language arts tutoring, social studies tutoring. Underneath each one of these areas, there is more information in terms of the types of programs offered. Some programs, quite honestly, are offered to particular school buildings. Some programs are offered specifically for the type of learner, etc. But these programs are not absolute for every single child. All right, so again, I do want to share with you, going back into this document, I do want to share with you that there are a couple areas that you could reach out to for additional information. And those areas, would be to visit pgcps.org and also the Maryland Report Card website. Okay, scrolling back a couple of slides. What are we doing school-wide as well as county-wide? We're prioritizing mathematics proficiency. Let me say it again. We're prioritizing mathematics proficiency. We're expanding tutoring and enrichment programs. And we're supporting educators through data analysis and collaborative planning opportunities. We can take a more ardent look at each one of these a little bit later after the day. What can you do? What can you do as it relates to assisting and supporting our and your children and students? First and foremost, bring students to school on time each and every day. Of course, if they're sick and ill, we know they can't be here, but bring students on time every day. Please ensure that they are fed with healthy and nutritious foods, that they receive, 9 solid hours of sleep if possible. We want them to come not only on time, but prepared for learning. Consistently continue to communicate with classroom teachers. Review classwork and homework sent home with your children. It's very important that students do have the classwork and homework reviewed. Homework is an entity on what occurs in a classroom. So it is not new information. It's information that has been shared in terms of the skill. All right. So again, thank you. Again, that was just a few minutes on the report card and certain things in terms of how we are attempting to support and reduce some of the learning loss. Again, reduce some of the learning loss that we actually were a part of. At this time, again, I thank you all, and you will have access to this information in the show. All right, so thank you all for listening to that presentation. Remember, you will have access to it within the next couple of days. I did want to pause either for any additional commenting by Ms. Giddings or any follow-up questions that anyone on this meeting would like to make.
Yes, Alex.
So, what are the enrichment programs? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Did you hear the question?
I believe there was something mentioned about enrichment programs. As it relates to school in general, we have our tutoring sessions. There's been a lot of questions about STEM programs and things of that nature. As shared earlier in the year, the learning loss has really been relegated to ensuring that we can pick up as much as possible the gaps of children. So in terms of enrichment programs, our focus has been on tutoring. We've had, regular Men Make a Difference Day and things of that nature. But in terms of enrichment programs, we are awaiting and interested in carrying over some things from prior to COVID, but we have not hit enrichment programs in high throttle as we've returned to our first full year. I don't know, is there anybody, Ms. A or Ms. Giddings, who may have additional comments? I mean, we do have chess, we do have dance-a-thon, we do have badminton, so we do have a number of programs, but I think there's some things that we'd like to do additionally as the next year begins.
And inside of the classroom, we also have our TAG program, Talented and Gifted. So we do have a number of teachers that are incorporating specialized strategies and instructional resources to enrich our students that are talented and gifted in that particular program.
And just in addition to that, in the classroom, a lot of teachers allow the students to do interest projects. So they choose a topic to research and then get to do a project on that, just as practice with those research skills, but doing it on a topic that might not be part of the typical curriculum that you do every day.
Yes, Alex.
So I thought the enrichment programs were in the context of the report card, and I don't see how TAG or the independent projects would support improving the proficiency as it relates to the MCAP report card. Because the TAG students are presumably already passing, so it would be the average students and below that need the enrichment programs to bring them back up to par.
I mean, I just want to parent perspective. So I would say from my vantage point as a parent here, a couple of the enrichment programs that we've leveraged is the book note tutoring that was pushed by the district quite a bit, and both of my sons participated in that program. And it was sent by way of the teachers in weekly newsletters. Free, it's weekly, and so that's been helpful. I'll also say that it was useful for us to what I think one Nelson's points earlier about communicating with the teachers. So last school year, with my oldest son, we recognized coming into school following an entire year remote, some of his math skills were not quite the par, and so we worked with his teacher, Perry, to support some additional opportunities for him with his mathematics, and so he worked with one of the resource teachers of the school. So for me, that counted as enrichment, and now he's well above proficiency in his math and all. But so those were I try to be very attuned to some of the different notices that get found out, and they send a lot. I will say that the school and teachers send a lot, so there's a lot to keep up with. But I've been grateful for some of the additional free resources that are available, not just school-wide, but from the district in supporting enrichment for it too. So anyway, from fellow perspective, so I appreciate it.
And while speaking on the enrichment programs, our TAG students are still tested for MCAT. So they still have to demonstrate proficiency. So providing those opportunities to enrich and enhance their skills to make sure that they stay abreast of grade level expectations is also something that we'd like to implement consistently, because they're still under the umbrella of being tested in those intermediate grades.
And just to add on, just about those below grade level students, when we do look at the data from our testing, whether it be iReady or benchmark or MCAP from previous years, we do make groups where Ms. Giddings can pull students for intervention programs or other support staff in our school to try to help close those gaps for those students before the next round of testing. So it's not necessarily outside of school, but it is happening in school too, which is also a free program that some students are able to be a part of.
Did anybody else have any questions or comments?
I just want to encourage everyone to go ahead and take a look at this report. I mean, one of the most startling numbers that came out of it for me was, first of all, overall school proficiency in mathematics is 20.3%. And when you break that down, proficiency for Black or African American students in this particular school is 12.1%. So I think it's important that everyone go and look over that report. I think it's also important for us to know, you know, to what, I mean, we're all aware that there was massive learning loss. But, you know, I'm just trying to sort of clarify, first of all, how concerned you are about it. You know, it seems like it is just one piece of a bigger picture. But also, you know, that's such a huge gap that it sounds like there's a few things going on here and there, but at least for me, I'm just not quite getting a clear picture of how to overcome such an enormous gap in proficiency. I mean, again, we're not talking about, you know, excellence necessarily, it's proficiency.
Hello, this is Francis Moluku, Salina's dad. My daughter, I don't know the kind of intervention program she was into, but I want to say she's really improved tremendously. I know we were advised that she repeat one of the class. She repeated first grade. And ever since then, the kind of intervention they enrolled her in, she's done so very well. She's improved so much. I just want to thank the teachers and support staff she got at Greenbelt Elementary School. I've been very happy ever since she moved to that school. I really want to thank everybody, members of staff and teachers that's been so helpful with the intervention programs. We are part of them that benefit from that. I really appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you.
Does anybody else want to speak or ask a question, make a comment?
So I did just want to go back to the math comment about the proficiency. So this is not just an area for GES. That's a challenge. It's actually a district-wide challenge, which is why math has become one of our big rocks for the county, where we're focusing on improving our math proficiency. That is an area across the county that all schools are working on. So as mentioned in the video, we really are trying to be intentional about looking at what we can specifically do at GES through learning walks, through intentional collaborative planning. So we're constantly looking at our data, such as our benchmark data, our Dreambox data. We are being intentional about our planning. So not just looking at the data, but we're making action steps to follow what we see based on that data. So whether it's recreating tasks that students struggled with, exposing them to more tasks that they'll see on these assessments, we are implementing strategies to address some of these gaps in proficiency for math. But it's not just a GES challenge, it is a district challenge that Dr. Goldston has mentioned for us as a district to kind of work on.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much for the report. Mr. Nelson, was there anything else that you wanted to speak on?
No, I think the last 3 or 4 comments put a lot in perspective. I mean, we certainly, as a school, as a state, as a nation, have a lot of work to do. And the first part is acknowledging it, but it's also putting it into perspective. Our children and our families have come back after not just academic loss, but so many other things that we are all working to build. And going back to earlier comments, I mean, it does take a community. I think we have 11, the highest number we had was 14, but the 11 or 14 people on this PTA are certainly a major driving force in terms of supporting our children. So I thank each and every one of you. And again, we have work to do, but we have made a lot of progress in many areas. And I'm just interested in seeing what the next couple of months provide so that we can show our growth and then know what we need to do from there.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. If nobody else has any questions on Mr. Nelson's report, we will continue with our agenda. Yeah, let me share. Okay.
Take your time to skip to Ingrid's comment, please.
We can do that, which is right here. We have Miss Ingrid Haas, who would like to update us on the programs that she has been doing with our kids. And I did write down what the programs were for each grade. So if you wanted to speak on them.
Great. Hi, I'm Ingrid Haas. I'm the president of GAVA, which stands for the Greenbelt Association of the Visual Arts. And I don't quite remember when, but there was a partnership built a while ago by a previous president of GAVA with the PTA of this school, so that local artists could come into the school and help with making the curriculum more interesting and more artful. And then the school became arts integrated. So we became really partners with the teachers for a while. It's broken down a little bit because of the pandemic, but I feel like we've made a wonderful start to get back into working with the kids on a regular basis. It also meant this time that my husband and I did a lot more than we usually do, just because some artists weren't interested yet or not able or whatever. So we're still working on those things, but a lot happened in February and March. I was very pleased. I think we started off with the apple tree for kindergarten and the pre-K kids. So we gave performances for all those classes. The pre-K joined one of the kindergarten classes. And we taught them also a song that's like a motion song, singing and moving about the life cycle of a plant or a tree. And we planted seeds in the song, and then we became the tree and we grew. And by the end, we were picking apples and eating them. It was very wonderful. And I was just amazed at how well behaved and how the children were able to listen. They sat through a half-an-hour program, and you have to consider that these children have not been to a live theater performance ever. So, especially with all the video and screen time that they have right now, especially with COVID behind us, it was so heartwarming for me to see how engaged they were with live performance and how they learned from what they saw. So it was that's why I do what I do. So then we were with the 5th grade. We did 4 performances for the classes, right? So we gave a performance of Rainbow Pro, which is a Lenape Indian tale. I won't go into the story. It's a great story. But at the end of the story, we did a workshop right afterwards, because that particular story has shadow puppetry. And we find that with the older kids, especially,
they can easily make a puppet and then learn, be inspired, hopefully, to tell their own story. And that's just what happened. We had a really good time teaching them how to make shadow puppets, and then they were able to explore. Some of them came up with really interesting puppets that were very original. Others followed our basic ideas and learned how to manipulate the puppets. And we all got to practice a little bit. So that was fun. Then we did first grade. Yeah, first grade was Butterfly Wonder, which is an old program that I've been doing with the first grade for many years. And it also includes a performance in the classroom for that class. So, 25 kids on the carpet, and it's very intimate and has a lot of singing, and the kids were just mouth breathing, watching them. So it's very heartening again that they're able to do that. And so they listened, and then we had questions and talked about butterflies, and then we made puppets. It's quite a challenging thing that I'm asking them to do. We're kind of, the puppets are pretty simple to make, but they decorate butterflies that we turn into puppets with simple sticks, but they can make them fly. And then they make a little caterpillar and a big caterpillar, and then we make props. We learn about what they need for the story. The caterpillar, the little caterpillar eats and eats and eats, and we sing songs from my story that they just heard, and they know them by heart. It's incredible. I realize that the songs aren't that hard, but still. That's crunchy, 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 crunchy. They love that song. So anyway, they make their caterpillar grow and eat, and then of course it goes to sleep, and then it turns into a butterfly. So they get to review the story of metamorphosis, what they're learning in science, and they are completely engaged. And by the end, they want to make 5 more puppets. I give them out paper, the ones that are fast, and they're making mice and robins and you name it, clouds and flowers, and they're telling their own stories, which is what my hope is, that they learn that about science, but they also learn that they can do it in their way. So let's see, I think we have a 4th grade show, and I'm afraid that I've dropped the email line. I just noticed that I don't have the date in my calendar, but I do have a tentative date, so it has not been confirmed, but we should be doing a 3rd grade project in May, and I will email the teacher as soon as I get home. It's looking up and what? So hopefully that'll still work out. I think it will. It's at the end of May, so we still have time. And that would be Anansi and the Talking Melon, which is an African folktale. We've made it a little friendlier. So Anansi is being helped by all his friends to get out of the melon. He's not completely taking advantage of them. We find it to be a lovely, very fun and lighthearted show. And the puppets are elephants. We have an elephant, a warthog, an ostrich, a chimpanzee, and the kids that we performed for before are totally delighted with these puppets. Now the 3rd grade, we will talk to them about creative process and what we do to create a story, because they're learning about folktales, and they're also writing. They learn, how to, for example, write something and then fix it a little bit, come up with a first draft, and then write a second draft. So we talk about how we do that with our script, and how we decide on a story, and how we decide on how big the puppets are going to be, and all these things. And they ask us lots of questions that we may or may not anticipate. And we have a lively and wonderful discussion about what it means to create a story and what we do for a living, really, and why we do it. And sometimes these young kids ask great questions. So we're looking forward to that. The 4th grade, I still have not heard anything, and I have to say that it's partially because I don't have an idea that's different. I offered the same 5th grade project, and I'm just not sure. I just haven't had a chance to really talk with the teachers. The communications.
Miss A, are you still on the call?
Well, I'll text her again. I'll write her. But
it's hard for me to connect with the teachers because that's really the most important part for me is that we're giving the teachers what they really need and what they're teaching. And it may be that it's too early this year. You know, there's a lot going on. So the last thing we want to do is stress the teachers. And, you know, she said, maybe in the fall. So maybe we'll do it right away at the beginning of school. So, you know, I think I'm not too worried. We will get something in for this class. Hopefully, if not, they'll see us in 5th grade. Any questions?
Did you want to talk about the dance program for the second grade?
About that, of course. Yes, I'm thrilled. I did email with Lisa. I never know how to say her last name. I always call her Lisa P. Yes, that's my daughter's in the class right now. I can't get on. I've never said her last name. I'm realizing. She's a delightful mother of now 2, I think. She had 2 kids. Time is flying, and I don't know anymore. But she used to do a program with the 2nd grade, working very closely with Miss Rosenberg Howe. And it was utterly amazing because I would often go and observe how she would choreograph dance with these kids. She would sometimes teach them some dance, but then by the end they were choreographing their own, and they were pollinators or flowers or seeds, and they were sprouting, and very expressive dance. And really, again, learning about really basic things, but in a way that's extremely meaningful and engaging. So I'm really happy that she was able to do that in person. She's actually the only teaching artist that continued throughout COVID. She managed to figure out how to get her program online, and she and Ms. Rosenberg somehow managed that they had the same program online last year. So, and the year before even, she had a big grant. So she got money from the Arts Council and was able to change her program and keep the money. So we were really pleased with that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in and telling us all about the program. I'm jealous. Good.
A lot. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we are going to move on to the treasurer's report, which I have right here. Sarah, would you like to?
Say report.
Yeah.
All right. You know, we're looking pretty good.
Except for the right year. There we go.
So just a couple highlights here. We've got a little over.
Are we on? You want to be on?
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, cool. We have a little less than 25K in the bank. We're looking pretty good. We can go on down, Jill, and then so we've raised a total of 12,000 and we've only spent less than 6,000. So a couple of fun things coming up is we are going to thank Ingrid for everything she's doing, and she will get her pot as soon as I have the new checks in. So thank you. We will write our check as planned in the budget for GABA, and how exciting it is that it's back. And just thank you so much for incorporating it. And it was honestly such a delight tonight to hear the inner workings, and just I don't know, it's just awesome. And I can't wait for the 4th graders to get their experience too. So anyway, yeah, and then I also saw we've got some of the teacher requests in. We started that new process. I don't know if Jill or Eric or someone will touch on that, but I'm gonna work with I think Mr. Nelson and sort of, you know, sort of the final approvals, then we'll start to fulfill those teacher request orders. So again, if you're a teacher on the line and you haven't you know, made a request, we have a process set up for if there's certain little things you might need to advance the teacher cause every day that affects, you know, impacts the school and the students. Please consider making a request for a PTA to vet and fulfill. Aside from that, I know there's some upcoming stuff. We've got a dinner like not a dinner, like a restaurant day. I say day because it's from, it's all the business hours for Franklin's over in Hyattsville. If you've never been, it's a good time. Restaurant, brewery, 2 stories. They've also got an on-site store. Any purchases that are made, you just mentioned the Greenbelt Elementary PTA, and we get a cut back. Okay, so percentage, I forget if they do 3% or 5%, but Franklin's does a nice job, and they'll give the percentage back to the PTA. So please, that's coming up next on the 25th.
Tuesday.
Like
Tuesday.
a Tuesday. So Tuesday, it's not tacos, but you can go over to Franklin's, have yourself a good time. Anyone in the community, just please mention GES PTA, and they'll credit the check accordingly. So I think that's about it. We've got the spring thing coming up in May, but that's not my topic area. Any questions on the treasurer's report?
Real quick on the Franklin's night, is that doing the flyer?
Yeah, so Jill, I think, sent out, I hope all the membership received it, and also I believe the school, the office has received it to share. There is a Franklin's flyer for Tuesday, and I think the hours run from maybe 10 or 11 a.m. till 9 p.m. at night, and has the information for the restaurant on there.
Yeah, I got a copy of it from the teacher.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. We will move on to Eric and his vice president report.
So I'll talk a little bit about our new advocacy committee. Okay, so we've been working on several projects this spring. One of the things was that I researched this year's proposed state legislation that's related to public education. And I emailed our members about bills that they might want to contact our legislators about to support. So legislative session's now over, but hopefully somebody had a chance to pitch in on that. Silva Wells on the advocacy committee looked into the training that teachers receive on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and found out that they actually received several helpful trainings. And so Silva's now looking into whether the PTA can support those programs or supplement those programs at our school. Brooke Kenny, our secretary, prepared and sent the questions to Mr. Nelson that he and Ms. Giddings used for their presentation on the MCAP tests and Greenbelt Elementary School report card. So she was looking to better understand what the school can do to help with academic recovery from the pandemic, and also how the PTA can support that effort, either, for example, by promoting the district's free tutoring and other programs. Silva Wells is also researching the validity of standardized testing, standardized tests for assessment in general, but plans to make a presentation on that at a later meeting. And our Vice President Kristen plans to start a conversation with the school's talented and gifted program coordinator about how students are identified for TAG. And I think you'll hear more about that from her later. And then finally, Enrique Barbosa, one of our parents, is working on a parent survey regarding Greenbelt Elementary's foreign language. And would any of the committee members like to add anything to what I've said? Great.
Thank you for all your work so far. Been very active, committed, great.
Yeah, we're happy to have more people join the advocacy committee, and you can do that just by contacting the main PTA email address, which you can find on our website at the bottom of the agenda, I believe. Thanks, Jill.
Thank you. Kristen, you are up for your vice president report.
Right, I will be brief. We're going to give you all just a quick update on status at the entrepreneurship fair, which will take place as part of the larger spring fair on May 13th. We've had a wonderful assembly on March 30th, where we were able to engage our 4th and 5th grade students on business basics. And we had an excellent guest speaker, a local Greenbelt entrepreneur, Gretchen Schock from Yoga, for those who are familiar with her wonderful studio. She came and engaged the students magnificently around basic concepts of business to help, fuel ideas among the students. If I may want to share a couple of quick pictures from the event, quickly.
Here, I will stop my share.
So in the spirit of her business, she was able to engage the students with a little bit of yoga. Here they are engaged, answering questions. She gave some great analogies around the idea of creating a product. What are the different things that you need to create your product, and how do you sell your product at the right price? And so it was an excellent session, and so the kids really enjoyed themselves. I was grateful that we were able to also provide a little bit of seed funding, if you will, by way of raffles. We had a few gift cards left over from the winter teacher appreciation luncheon, so we were able to raffle off a few tickets, gift cards, excuse me, to the students, with the intent that they would use that to help start their business. So that was really exciting. I'm pleased that we will be extending the deadline for submission of the forms. Originally, we were intending to have the deadline and it's publicized on our forum as this Friday, April 1st, but we want to give students a little bit more time to put together their business plans. They received at the assembly what is a kind of a small business form that they have to complete with the name of their business, the description of the business, the price point of the product or services, but also we need their parent permission as well. So for those working fifth grade parents who are on the call, we have extended the deadline to April 29th, hoping to get a message out to everyone as well. Once students submit their forms, correction has graciously agreed to come back and to engage students about like, hey, here's what my business is. Let me know your thoughts. Again, pricing, perhaps reviewing some of their flyers and other materials. So we're excited about that. And that date we have not nailed down. It will likely be that first week of May. And again, that will be for whichever students ultimately submit their business plan forms. And it's a very short form, so please don't be intimidated. It literally is 3 questions, 4 questions. But we're excited about this, and this will be our inaugural entrepreneurship fair that we'll host again during the spring fair on the 13th. Other quick update outside the entrepreneurship fair, in the spirit of thinking about testing and a number of things that are important in the education of our students. We're hoping to either at our final PTA meeting, bring Ms. Peter into the conversation to talk a little bit about the tag testing criteria for acceptance of the program, and to hear a little bit more about how students can prepare and so on for acceptance into this program. So please keep an eye out for future communication on that. And that's it for me. Thank you all.
Great, thank you, Kristen. It is time for me to speak. I just wanted to do some shout outs to some things that are coming up as well. Ms. Sloniker and some wonderful ladies from the community who came to speak a few meetings ago have set up their planting day. So it is going to be Saturday, May 6th. Here, I realized I'm not sharing. Let me share so that everybody can see. So the planting day is Saturday, May 6th from 10 to noon. They're going to have a rain date if it's bad weather. And that update will be posted on our Facebook page and our website as late as an hour before. So if you just want to check, make sure that it's still going on. If there's some rain, then we will let you know. It should be a wonderful event where they're going to work on a rain garden and some runoff, and it'll be fun getting dirty. We also did hear earlier from the nomination committee some things that they wanted me to make sure to point out is there is a lot of support. We have pages and pages and pages of documents to help you do this job, as well as lots of people here to help you. As part of the spring fair, it is well underway. The Public Works have agreed to give us some trucks so the kids can climb on them. The police will be here with a vehicle. We are ordering some inflatables. We're gonna have the space, Shamar agreed to come and do something with us, as well as the Greenbelt Recreation Department. We have a few more organizations that we're gonna reach out to. But it's coming together and it looks like it's gonna be really fantastic. And really the jewel is the entrepreneurship fair. It really is. You know, getting those kids to understand businesses, being able to sell. We're really excited about it. Promotion is starting next week. You'll probably see it a lot, hopefully. That's our goal. So yeah, and we did also talk about the teacher request program. We did have a number of teachers who gave those requests and we are following up with those. But there was a flyer distributed on Monday by Mr. Nelson with the information with the link. If for some reason you can't find that, just send us a message and we will send you the link so that you can request things up to $100. We already spoke about the restaurant night. There's also a really fantastic event happening next Monday from 6:30 to 8:30. It's a middle school transition event. We're going to have middle schoolers come and talk about their experience. So that the fifth graders can better understand what's coming. And it's not just going to be Greenbelt Middle School. The goal is to have a couple different schools and a couple different students from different schools. So that's going to be a really great event. It is going to be both hybrid and it is going to be hybrid both in person in the media room, same day, same time next week. No, Monday. It's Monday. Never mind. But you will also be able to look at it on the Zoom, and the Zoom link is this same Zoom link. So if you cannot find it, it is right here. Great. And I think those were all of my updates. Did anybody have any questions or topics they would like to bring up? Oh, okay. I also want to let everybody know that we are going to have one final PTA meeting of the year. It's going to be May 31st. And it will again be a hybrid meeting without technical difficulties. So we look forward to seeing everybody there. If you have any questions prior to that, feel free to reach out to us all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.